Have you ever wanted your own TV show? Have you dreamed of showcasing your talent for the world to see? Well, now you can. Have your own TV show. You can have your own 30-minute show. Not only will you be seen in the Detroit area, but you can be viewed worldwide. Be seen on WHPR Detroit Live, Comcast Cable Channel 91, on the web at TV33WHPR.com, with the TV33 app, on Roku, Google TV, Apple TV, and on Amazon Fire TV. Act now. Time slots are limited. Sign up today and get a free replay with the purchase of your time slot. For more information, call 313-868-6612. Visit our studios and receive a free TV interview to promote your business, church, or organization by appointment only.
Watch Anthony Adams. We, Detroit. We deserve better. Live on Mondays from 11 a.m. to noon on WHPR TV 33 Detroit. And live stream on Facebook. We, Detroit. We deserve better.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Anthony Adams of the We Detroit, the We Deserve Better show, a program where I speak of topics of interest to me as well as to you. And today I'm also very, very excited because I have my co-host, my partner in life, my law partner, my wife, my friend, attorney Lynn Marine Adams.
Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you. And so we were sitting around the dinner table yesterday, and we were talking about the issue of race. In particular, we got stuck on the topic of are black people, do black people discriminate against themselves? Do black people believe that they can lead themselves? And so today we're going to have a free-flowing discussion on the topics of interest of race, how we view race as black professionals in town. How does that impact our life? How do we move forward? How do we free our minds from, some folks would say, the shackles of slavery? And so when we're talking about attorneys in private practice and attracting clients in the profession, one thing we always go back and forth on is, are black people afraid to hire black attorneys? That's a topic that we always talk about.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Because I think at the end of the day, we kind of we're harder on ourselves. And so you can have a situation where you go to a black attorney and whatever reason, it just doesn't gel. And you often hear from black people, well, now I got to go hire and be a white person. But they will go to a white person and it doesn't gel. And they'll go to another white person. I mean, it's like, I'm like, it's, you know, and you and I have had this discussion so many times.
Right.
You know, I'm one of the people that believe that a lot of our problems stem from slavery,
Right.
the self-hate, growing up where during the time where if you were lighter complected, you were deemed to be better looking. You were just, it was just better for you. And so we have a lot of self-hate. And
do you think it's really self-hate, or you think it's just sort of a lack of awareness about issues on how you analyze a professional's conduct? I mean, there are times, when you're selecting an attorney for certain things, there are certain skill sets that you should have given the type of issue that you're addressing. And do you think it's a lack of awareness on the part of our people and understanding what to expect from an attorney, or you think there is somehow another this underlying belief that if in fact something occurs wrong with a black attorney, then I need to go hire a white attorney?
I think it's a combination of both. I think it's a lack of really not knowing, a lack of me. And I also think, too, that we have different expectations of individuals that look like us, whereas we don't have those same expectations from white attorneys.
Really?
And so
why do you say that?
Because it goes back to what I said earlier, we're harder on ourselves and we expect more. And so I think that plays into it, I think that plays into it as well. I mean, it's interesting because, you can't, it's always very interesting to how we view ourselves. And in particular, just in the practice in general. And so I just think it becomes we're definitely harder on ourselves.
So I guess part of that is kind of understanding where we come from as a people, how we've moved through life, how we address one another, the types of struggles that we have to overcome, and people's feeling and belief that somehow or another we can represent their interests in the best way. I mean, maybe some of it stems from the part that in the old days, white judges were particularly hard on black attorneys and didn't necessarily give black attorneys a fair shake. And so when we had more blacks elected to the bench, obviously that level of discomfort on the bench certainly would play a role in that, don't you think?
It depends upon how you look at it.
Okay.
Because again, I mean, some could say that the black judges are harder on the black attorneys. So, I mean, it just, but I think there is definitely a level of comfort when you go in front of a black judge. I mean, definitely, yeah. It doesn't matter whether you like me or not. There's some commonality that we have,
right?
And so, just being black in and of itself. And so therefore, there is definitely a level of comfort.
Do you think black doctors experience the same kind of blowback in their profession? I mean, we know a lot of black doctors, and I don't hear a lot of black doctors talking about this as I do black attorneys.
That's an interesting question. That's a question that I have to, we have to pose to our friends that are physicians.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting question. I really do not know the answer to that, and I was hesitant because I was thinking, have I ever had a conversation with them about that? But yeah, we have to find that out.
I think a lot of the general conversation kind of stems from anecdotal conversations that we've had with people, whether it's in the beauty shop, the barber shop, people on the street, business people that we know. I mean, for example, we have a friend who's an auto dealer, and he speaks oftentimes a lot about the belief that people feel like they need to get a hookup to come to the black dealership. We won't name him, but when they go to a Suburban Ford, they don't have the same expectations. So I mean, well, how do you gauge that?
That's a really difficult, I mean, you just have to be consistent. You just have to be consistent. You really do.
Well, you did make a point about people's expectations and how we actually expect more from a black person than we do from a white person. And so when we go into a store, for example, we expect to be treated differently, or how do we expect to really be treated when we're dealing with a black merchant as opposed to a white merchant? Should we have any different level of expectation?
I think you should be treated in any environment with respect. I think you should be treated as, you are the customer. You are using your funds to purchase whatever you're purchasing. And I think for the most part, black people just want to be treated with the same level of, respect. And, you don't want to, I remember I was when Jacobson's was around in Birmingham. I must have been in high school. And I got followed around the store. I was at Jacobson shopping, and I got followed around the store. I mean, that was a very uncomfortable feeling. And that was the first time that I actually noticed someone doing that. When I lived out in Troy, there was a restaurant that my girlfriends and I went to. It was right at 75 and Crooks. And we were headed back home, and I had moved out there maybe 6 months prior. And it was a car full of 4 professional black women, and I remember this white female pulled over, and she gave some excuses as to why she pulled over, pulled me over. And she said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going home." And she said, "Well, why are you going in this direction?" And I said, "Well, because that's where I live." She said, "Well, your license says Detroit." I said, "Well, if you flip it around, it'll give you my address."
Right.
But it's, but it was just very, you just we're not treated with the same level of respect, and especially and we get it across the board. Black people, we get it from our own people, we get it from white people, we get it from just everyone.
I'm really trying to focus in and zero on black on black experience, because I think that's what oftentimes drives our conversation about how we treat each other, how we view one another. Do you think that in this day and age where we've been out of slavery for some 250, 300 years, that why should we continue to feel this way? Why do you think we are much more harder on ourselves than we are other people? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think we have to make a conscious decision to not do it, and I think it's so embedded in us that we naturally, just like you naturally wash your hands, or we naturally do it. And I think that you look at when President Obama was in office, he has got to be the squeakiest clean president that and it amazed me, the disrespect that he got. And it was because he was black.
Well, I mean, especially if you contrast that with Donald Trump.
Right.
I mean, the contrast between Barack Obama and Donald Trump. Donald Trump married multiple times, a lot of baby mamas, very disrespectful to women, very disrespectful oftentimes I feel to blacks, very disrespectful to Hispanics, people of color. Yet Barack Obama, the sort of the quintessential black sophisticated politician, a very polished, Harvard educated, brilliant man, and yet the level of disrespect that he got versus the level of respect that Donald Trump got, I think is pretty amazing, given if you view the pedigree of both men and how they were viewed in society by and large.
And let's take it a step further. The level of disrespect that First Lady Obama got for really always trying to do something positive. Definitely taking on a role that she did not, that was not her dream or her desire. And Melania Trump, I don't know what she did for the last 4 years. No, she looked good. Let me say that. But she was sharp. But I don't really know what what she's done.
Well, you could barely understand what she was saying at the time. And I mean, the fact that Michelle Obama, again, very polished African American woman, highly educated, very sophisticated, projected a very positive image, and I think empowered a lot of African American women throughout this country to feel proud of themselves. I mean, I don't think that there's enough affirmation that we get in our own communities for affirming our women and their worth and their being. And so, but then you contrast that with Melania Trump, who could barely speak, who, like you said, we really don't know what her mission was, other than I think she redid the Rose Garden, which everyone said was a complete disaster because it didn't need to be redone. And so what we've got to focus in on is understanding why we feel the way we do about ourselves, why we have such a level of enmity about ourselves and our own way of being. And so when we come back from our break, we're gonna touch on a saying that we hear all the time, is that the white man's ice is always colder. We're gonna really dig into that statement. We're gonna break it down and understand it. And so when we come back from our break, we're gonna figure out if we truly believe that the white man's ice is always colder. I'm Anthony Adams, of the host of We Detroit, We Deserve Better show, and we'll be right back after our station break.
Watch Anthony Adams, We Detroit, We Deserve Better, live on Mondays from 11 a.m. to noon on WHPR TV 33 Detroit, and live stream on Facebook. We Detroit, We Deserve Better.
Finally, I just got my COVID-19 vaccine.
I registered with my local health department and they called me.
I got mine at the pharmacy, and my neighbor got hers from the hospital.
I'm not a techie person, so I called the COVID hotline, and they helped me schedule an appointment.
Get vaccinated with the first vaccine you can. Protect us all.
Learn more at michigan.gov/COVID vaccine.
Hi, excuse me, do you have anything for paint?
Straight down that aisle there.
All right, thank you.
Young lady, this here's what you need.
Ringmaster?
Ringmaster rubbing oil.
How does it work?
By promoting circulation since 1950. Massage it in for best results.
Ringmaster took care of my back pain.
Ringmaster got rid of my knee pain, too.
Wow, it sounds like I'm late to the party. I'll take one.
Find Ringmaster at CVS, Davis Drugs, and other fine stores.
Hi, this is LaWanda.
This is R.J. Watkins.
Coming to you to bring you some information about the #1 detox in the nation, Lemon Burn. Lemon Burn helps to turn the fat into fit. It's for you, a happier, healthier you. Because you know healthy is the new beautiful. An all-natural way to improve your health. It promotes a healthy digestive system, attacks and reduces belly fat, as well as gives you energy. Need to get yours today. Call 313-868-6612.
Don't forget to exercise and eat right.
In the world of digital broadcasting, transmitters and exciters sometimes do this. If this happens when you're watching WHPR TV 33, please do this. Watch us on Fire Stick, Roku, Apple TV, Google TV, or TV33WHPR.com. Download the WHPR TV app, and we can also be heard on Amazon Echo. So remember, if you see this, you can do this and support the station that supports you.
Watch Anthony Adams. We, Detroit. We deserve better. Live on Mondays from 11 a.m. to noon on WHPR TV 33 Detroit. And live stream on Facebook. We, Detroit. We deserve better.
Welcome back. My name is Anthony Adams of the We Detroit, We Deserve Better show, a program where we talk about topics of interest to me and hopefully of topics of interest to you. Today I have with me my co-host, my partner in life, my law partner, Attorney Lynn Marie Adams, and we're discussing the issue of race. Are black people harder on themselves than they harder on white folks? And the question that we posed before the break was the phrase that we hear oftentimes is the white man's ice colder than black man's ice? That's a question that we've heard. How would you respond to that rhetorical question?
Well, first of all, I just know that you have on jeans. I'm so proud of you. So proud of you. Like, wow. Okay. But we definitely think that, and I think a lot of times it's subconscious, and I think it's so embedded in us that, again, you have to make a conscious decision not to think that way, because we typically think that way because they control economics more so than we do. Which is one of the main reasons why I feel that we really think that way. And so it becomes so embedded in us that we don't even realize it. We have to realize that we can govern ourselves, and that was the beauty about Georgia to me, because I think that one of the things that Stacey Abrams and the other African American women that worked with her, as well as
some men worked with her too. Now she wasn't out there.
I
by
know.
herself.
I got to throw a plug out for the women. Now,
Okay.
come on. No, but seriously, but even the voters, they understood at a very grandeur level that it was, that they can definitely change their trajectory. And because of that, and let's be clear, they got outspent by millions, but they were still able to instill in people the ability that you do have some control over how your life turns out.
Well, there clearly was a certain pride of expectation that people kind of began to reject the dominant notion that somehow or another we can't govern ourselves. And we do have to understand that people are constantly bombarded with imagery. whether it's in beauty commercials on TV, TV actors and movies, kind of how they project a certain whiteness about things. Now, recently there has been a change in some of the programming. Blacks are being cast in roles that traditionally have not they've been cast in. I mean, the show Bridgerton, which we watch on Netflix. I'm sorry, we do watch it and they actually enjoy it. Where they have black people cast throughout the program in an effort to create, I guess, a feeling about diversity and equality. But that's an exception and not the norm. The norm is a continuous bombardment of issues about race, and really, what you would say would be a sort of a subliminal belief that the whiteness is better for folk than blackness.
Yeah, it's definitely that subliminal belief, and we have to, again, I know I've said this like at least 10 times, be very intentional not to believe that. I mean, you have, like in Chicago, you've had they stay in trouble in Chicago.
Right.
You have the governors been. I mean, they've had a couple of governors being.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you stay in, but they don't stop electing white people because of that. You let one black person do something, and all of a sudden it becomes everyone's fault.
Well, I mean, I think we can just look to see it at our own situation here, in the city of Detroit, where we had a spate of politicians who were convicted of various crimes, and then there seemed to be a backlash against black elected officials, which has sort of led to a white mayor being elected, which has led to a Chinese American state senator being elected, which has led to the election of a East Asian state rep. We have a white superintendent of schools. We have a lot of things where in the old days we were in leadership positions and the media had to reflect it because there was a certain blackness about what it was. But now we don't really have that because we've been kind of displaced from the political scene, even though we are the predominant political base in the city of Detroit. So how do we begin to kind of change the perception of recognizing that black folks make mistakes just like white folks, but that black folks, as you said, tend to be harder on black folks in general than they are white folks and white politicians who make mistakes? How do we begin to change that conversation?
You got to call people out. See, I believe that you really have to call people out, and you really have to really ask the question, because as long it's kind of like in a relationship where people really kind of want to break up, but nobody really wants to approach the nobody really wants to talk about it. I mean, that's what you have to do. You have to. And you have to ask people, now, why do you really feel that way? Why do you feel that way? Because they have to recognize that sometimes it's self-hatred. And oftentimes I find that, knowing that, I believe that white folks have played on that weakness because they know that. I mean, they've seen us do it, over the years, light skin versus, dark skin,
good hair versus bad hair,
different economic statuses. I mean, so they've watched us do it.
And so you think we continue to play in, do you think we still continue to play into those stereotypic roles about black people as amongst ourselves? Because that was a part of a way of kind of culturally dividing black people. I mean, obviously, clearly it started in slavery with the house Negroes versus the field Negroes, light-skinned Negroes being considered better, being able to pass the paper bag test. I mean, there's just so many things that are built into our own psyche that we have to begin to deconstruct. Because what we're doing and what we have to do is we've got to begin to deconstruct the myth that somehow or another we are not equal or superior in some ways, in many ways, given the level of things that we have to overcome in order to be great. I mean, the fact that Barack Obama was able to become president was a testament to his brilliance and his ability to overcome the numerous obstacles that were placed in front of him. And so we have to begin to deconstruct these myths slowly but surely so that people understand why we feel the way we do. Why? And which is one thing where I really liked about Detroit, because Detroit had a very strong Afro-centered curriculum within the Detroit public schools, which kind of taught a level of pride, a restoration, an understanding of what our history is, where we came from, the types of things that we were involved in as a people, how we controlled our own destinies. And it really wasn't, quite frankly, until integration occurred, where we were able to move into the mainstream of society, that a lot of things that we controlled, hotels, beauty shops, barber shops, I guess we still are the predominant control of those, the beauty supply stores, the dry cleaners, the grocery stores, the shopping grocery stores that we own. We had a sense of ownership and a sense of pride that went with our blackness. And now we've kind of lost that when you look around to see what we own, what we control. We could take the issue of gas stations, for example. How many African American gas stations are actually left in the city of Detroit? How many dry cleaners are actually left in the city of Detroit? You know, I went to a dry cleaners the other day. I saw the name, and the name it was Kimbro's. There was Kimbro's on the east side, Van Dyke. I stop in. I'm thinking I'm gonna see Mr. Kimbrough, and I see Mr. Kim. And I was kind of surprised, but that's kind of where we are with a lot of things.
Well, it's interesting because I think I went to high school with her, or was it grade school? I can't remember, but one of my classmates, they owned a dry cleaner right, it was between Wyoming and Livernois, and it's set on the north side. You remember I was talking to Mom yesterday, and I couldn't remember the name of the beauty and barber supply. It was between Sawfield and Auto Drive, and it was Morrow's, and then there was Chauncey Records, there was Detroit Audio, that was down, that was all on. But you know, just like during the conversation we were having with Mom yesterday, you know, some of it is personal responsibility, and personal responsibility also comes in as being very conscious about not doing certain things and opening up your eyes and seeing that we could definitely govern ourselves. We could definitely own our own businesses, and
we can own and control our own destiny.
And we need to really support that. I mean, there is right around the corner from us, East Eats, which is black owned, and it's a cute concept, and we have not been there yet, and we need to go. We were going to go this weekend, but and I believe that it was their ideal about doing a black restaurant week in Detroit.
That's correct.
I mean, so there are you know, things that we have to really support, and really make a conscious decision. Okay, instead of going downtown somewhere, we're gonna go over here to East Eats.
Which is right over on Navajo and East Jefferson. In the neighborhood. Did some remarkable things in terms of inspiring art. They had a lot of children who lived in the neighborhood.
Which I'm sorry to cut you up. I thought that was just so wonderful, the children in the neighborhood.
Right. Kind of brought the children together. The children were very active in helping to work to create the restaurant itself. And then they painted this beautiful mural. You'll see on my Instagram page, AA for Mayor. You can take a look at that beautiful artwork, which encompasses the pictures of the children. A sort of self-affirming act that we need to do much more of in our community. And so when we come back from our break, you know, we're going to continue to break down the issue of, is the white man's ice colder than blacks? How do we begin to do much more in self-affirmation of ourselves, of our being, how we respect one another in our relationships, how we respect one another in our business dealings. And so I am Anthony Adams, the host of We Detroit, We Deserve Better show. And when we come back from our station break, we're going to continue to dig and grind on this topic and this concept, because it's very important to our future, both politically, economically, and socially. Thank you.
Watch Anthony Adams, We Detroit. We Deserve Better. Live on Mondays from 11 a.m. to noon on WHPR TV 33 Detroit. And live stream on Facebook. We Detroit. We deserve better.
If you need a car today, use credit, bruise credit, or in need of a financial miracle, my name is Mr. Green, the Financing King. got a small down payment and proof of income, you can drive away today in a new or pre-owned car, truck, or SUV. Call me, Mr. Green, 313-350-4188. I have over 35 years of experience and an unlimited selection of reliable, certified vehicles. Call Mr. Green, the financing king, 313-350-4188.
Shelley Books and More. Short stories, poetry, and art contests for the youth. Cash prizes, $300 to $500 plus prizes. No entry fee. Go to ShelleyBooksandMore.com. Contact Shelley at 313-778-8009. Submit entries now and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Shelley Books and More. Also, listen to Shelley Books and More every other Tuesday, 4 p.m. on FM 88.1 WHPR. Radio we can see.
There's a new financial empowerment center located in the Wayne County Treasurer's Office on the 5th floor of 400 Monroe in Detroit.
If you or someone you know needs help with their finances, budgeting, and making monthly payments, the Detroit Financial Empowerment Center can help.
Wayne Metro Community Action Agency has counselors ready to provide free one-on-one counseling to help you address issues related to utility bills, taxes, and other financial matters. We can also help you improve your credit score.
We at Watkins Broadcasting care about the health and safety of our viewers and listeners. During this novel coronavirus pandemic, please protect yourself and others. Wash your hands well and often. Avoid touching your face. Cough and sneeze into your sleeve. Practice social distancing. Stay at least 6 feet away from others when in public and only leave the house when it's essential. Stay safe. You are important to us.
Watch Anthony Adams. We, Detroit. We deserve better. Live on Mondays from 11 a.m. to noon on WHPR TV 33 Detroit. And live stream on Facebook. We, Detroit. We deserve better.
Welcome back. My name is Anthony Adams of the We Detroit, We Deserve Better show, a program where I speak about topics of interest to me and hopefully of topics of interest to you. And as I indicated, I'm joined with my co-host, attorney Lynn Marie Adams, my life partner, my law partner. She's all things positive and powerful and all-knowing individual for me. And so when we began our conversation, Attorney Adams, we were talking about what we call the myth, really, of white superiority, because that's kind of what we're addressing in our topic, and black-on-black racism versus black-on-white racism. And what we as professionals experience oftentimes in our profession as lawyers, because we have a lot, for example, of lawyers who advertise on TV. That's a big issue for black attorneys, especially in the professional injury area, where the public is bombarded with commercial after commercial. And I'm not going to name the attorneys because we know who they are. And they make a great living on our community.
On black folks.
And yet when you look to see exactly how many black attorneys they actually have in their office, those numbers really aren't what they should be.
Or even black attorneys that they utilize to, when they have to, open up estates and other things. They just don't, they typically, don't do that. But
Is it because white professionals use white professionals and black professionals use black professionals? Is that what it is, or what do you think it is? I guess is my question.
I think white professionals use white professionals, and black professionals a lot of times try to do it on their own, knowing that they shouldn't. But or they may, they try. There are some that definitely make a conscious decision to try to, depending on whatever area it is, to use other black professionals. Like when people call me about divorces, I don't do divorce work, but I always refer them to somebody that's black.
Right.
And my only question is, do you want a male or a female? Sometimes, because sometimes that's a personal decision.
Right.
When people call me about a personal injury case, I typically always try to refer to someone black. But you just really have to be conscious of that, because I hope that would be returned. In my favor. I mean, there's so many things that it's so interesting, because we don't promote ourselves like we should.
Okay.
And we have to really promote ourselves. I mean, it always amazed me that somehow Kim Kardashian make having a big butt fashionable when black women, including me, been walking around with big butts for years.
We won't go there with that
I
now.
mean, Janet Jackson. I mean, so it's absolutely amazing of how typically, Lord, I'm sitting up here looking at my hair, trying to fix it, but it's absolutely fix my hair for me.
Well, you just have to let it. You just have to let it flow. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
But it astonishes me. It really truly does.
There is a huge amount of cultural appropriation that clearly goes on. When the white family, the Kardashian family, has been able to capture a huge portion of the African American, the black market with our culture. I mean, they've taken our culture almost, I'm going to say, to another level, but clearly they have profited on the fact of their close relationship with black folks, whether it be black actors, like Kanye West, Tristan Thompson, you name it. They seem to consume black culture, and no one really speaks about that because it's almost become accepted. That does their whiteness allow them more than what, for example, Cardi B or Nicki Minaj? I mean, why are they? I guess maybe Cardi B has grown just as big. So maybe that might not be a fair example, but it's the cultural appropriation portion of it that I really want us to kind of focus on.
That's yeah, you're right. Definitely, it's interesting how they have taken our culture and definitely have made millions off of it. And
and maybe part of that is because of their whiteness, that they're able to easily be accepted for taking our culture, versus when black culture was really becoming very dominant, especially in the 60s, where you had Nina Simone and women who really projected sort of an African type features and dress. They seem to have taken over our culture. And is that because we allowed them to take over our culture, or because they are the dominant media and dominant media mainstream, they're able to take it over because we're being bombarded with Kardashian?
I think the latter. I think a lot has to do with the latter. I think the media definitely chooses what they want to focus on, and the media is owned by white folks, so they're going to focus on that. They're not going to, if you cover a black person in a positive light, you typically don't see that.
Right.
And because they were dating, these black men,
right,
and they were able to, get collagen. Their lips are bigger. They're, there's an argument that they got butt implants. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. But whatever, but they were able to capitalize on that, and it was because I believe that the white media saw that, and it was okay because it wasn't necessarily a black person, but it was someone that kind of
right. They were able to exploit a value structure, which promoted them as being holding them up, if you will, holding them up. Brilliant marketing on their part, I have to say, able to promote themselves in a manner that allowed them to take our culture and to profit tremendously from it. And so, the question becomes, how do we become more self-affirming about ourselves? What do we need to do in order to promote well-being about ourselves? How do we begin to promote our own self-interest in respecting our own history and our own culture? How do we begin to go about doing that?
We really have to start a healing process. I mean, I think, Black people we're very damaged people, oftentimes, and we don't realize it. And I really think that we have to start a healing process mentally as well as physically, and really spiritually, number one, and really, understanding that we are entitled to make mistakes. We are going to make mistakes. Really being very intentional about spending money with Black people. Whatever car that I buy, I always buy from Prestige. Because it's a Black owner, and I feel like, well, heck, I know I can go in there and say something.
Well, it's sort of like the feeling that if it's a Black-owned business, if I have an issue, I have the right to speak to the owner.
Yeah.
But if it's a white-owned business, I don't necessarily feel like I could go talk to Mr. Sachs or Mr. Nordstrom. But if I'm over at Carissa's shop on the Livernois, then I feel I need to speak with the owner. I mean, we kind of personalize the experience, which I guess is a good thing because we feel like we can have that open and honest conversation. But it's not the norm. If you go to Prestige Cadillac or Mercedes-Benz, but if you go to Mercedes-Benz of Birmingham, you don't necessarily expect to talk to the owner. But you expect to actually have the owner negotiate your deal, give you the hookup, give you the great price, and not make any money because it's a Black thing versus a business thing. And maybe that's kind of what we have to really understand is that Black people are in business to make money,
just like white folks.
And should you expect less? Or should you expect more? Or should the expectation level be the same when you're dealing with business?
And really holding people accountable. And that's even holding, the people accountable in the white stores that, that we go to or in, even in the political world. It's just they need to be held accountable too, because they need to understand that we are part of this process and that we deserve to be heard. And we deserve just as much as you do. And that's a little bit where it starts as well. We deserve just as much as you do. If we're driving out to shop out at Somerset, because there isn't a mall in the city, then we deserve not to be followed around. We deserve to be treated with dignity as well. And that's where a lot of things, start. Of not being pulled over. I mean, there's so many things that we have to worry about that white folks just don't worry about. I mean, every time that you're driving somewhere, you're out in the suburbs, I'll always worry, and you're a grown man. When my brother comes to town, he from Detroit, I always worry, if he's over, late, I can't, I can barely, really fall asleep until he gets back to the house because it's just we always have that extra worry.
Right, because of our Blackness, it exposes us to a certain harm. I mean, obviously, the recent situations with the brother Wright and brother George Floyd in Minnesota. I mean, Castile in Minnesota as well. There is a belief that a traffic stop between a Black person and a white officer, more times than not, ends up bad for the Black person involved in the stop. And so, when we talk about understanding how we feel about ourselves, how other people perceive us, that is a big issue in this whole notion of Black self-hatred versus Black self-pride. How do we begin to break through the psychological barrier that we appear to have? I'm not going to say everybody, but I'm going to say a lot of folk appear to have as it relates to Black folks and what we expect from other Black folks and how we view ourselves. And so when we come back, to our final segment, we're going to kind of give ourselves, I think, some touchstones for how we begin to understand implicit bias within our own selves. How do we begin to address understandings or levels of insecurity that we may feel about who we are and what our expectations are because we're Black? And so I'm Anthony Adams, your host of We Detroit, We Deserve Better show. And when we come back, we're going to put a button on it, a bow, and we're going to tie it up and deliver it to our guests. Thank you.
Watch Anthony Adams. We Detroit. We deserve better. Live on Mondays from 11 a.m. to noon on WHPR TV 33 Detroit. And live stream on Facebook. We, Detroit. We deserve better.
Now you can watch WHPR TV 33 on Fire Stick. Catch all of your favorites. Stay informed. Don't miss a minute of your favorite talk shows. Call, text, tweet, post. WHPR TV 33 is worldwide on Fire Stick. For more information, go to FirestickTVNetwork.com or call us at 313-868-6612. WHPR TV 33, a Watkins Broadcasting Company.
I'm Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabri, encouraging all taxpayers to please take advantage of the several payment options available.
You can pay online by visiting the Wayne County Treasurer's Office website. Paying online is easy and convenient.
You can also download the mobile app and pay with your smartphone.
You can pay at one of 70 kiosks located throughout Wayne County.
And yes, you can always still send in your payments using the U.S. Postal Service.
If you have to visit our office in person, you must make an appointment by going to treasurer.waynecounty.com. It only takes a few minutes. Facial covering or mask is required and social distancing is observed. Your health and safety is very important to us. You can also email our office at taxinfo@waynecounty.com or call us at 313-224-5990.
Not only can you listen, you can watch. 107.3 WVIE, Virgin Islands. Have your own show and be seen and heard in the Virgin Islands, Detroit, and worldwide. RadioWeCanSee.com, a Watkins Broadcasting Company. Block time is available. Call now, 313-868-6612.
Watch Anthony Adams. We, Detroit. We deserve better. Live on Mondays from 11 a.m. to noon on WHPR TV 33 Detroit. And live stream on Facebook. We, Detroit. We deserve better.
Welcome back. So in our final segment of We Detroit, We Deserve Better, a program where I speak of topics of interest to me as well as topics of interest to you. Today I had my guest host, my life partner, my wife, my friend, Lynn Marie Adams, and we were discussing black on black hatred, black affirmation. Are we prejudiced against ourselves? Do we believe that the white man's ice is actually colder? And so let's begin to deconstruct the myths one by one. This is sort of a yes or no answer question segment. Is the white man's ice colder than black man's ice? Okay, I was a yes and no, but you add a little adjective on there. Do we need to have more self-affirmation about ourselves?
Yes.
Do we need to promote self-awareness within ourselves?
Yes.
How do we begin the process? I guess that's not a yes or no, but do we need to begin the process of healing within our own community?
Most definitely.
And so, when we talk about these things, we talk about healing, a lot of it turns on our own level of expectations about ourselves. Do we believe in the greatness of others? Do we believe in the greatness of our communities? Do we believe that we can be great?
Yes, and yes. I mean, we have to gamble. We have to learn, and this is we have to learn to gamble on ourselves first. And I think it starts there. And once we learn to gamble on ourselves, we have to have enough faith that everything else will fall into place. And we have to really know what we're good at, what we're not good at. And just really capitalize on the things that we are good at, and really not allow others to be very conscious of not allowing others to make you feel insecure about things.
And I think that a lot of that starts with kind of how you were raised as a child. When you look at the structural barriers to racism and how they impact our lives on a daily basis, whether it's dealing with inadequate schools, inadequate access to health care, and things of that nature. I mean, there are a lot of things, a lot of societal forces that can create, I think, a feeling of insecurity on the part of a black person. But what you're suggesting, and what I'm suggesting, is that if we reaffirm on a very constant basis, we affirm ourselves, we affirm our self-worth and being, we affirm the humanness of ourselves, then maybe we can begin to move past our own idiosyncrasies and beliefs that somehow or another someone governing us would be better than we governing ourselves.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. It's a constant affirmation, and it's a constant saying, I'm going to seek out a black physician. I'm going to seek out a black lawyer. I'm going to seek out a black builder. And, and it's, I'm going to seek out, a black dentist. Because what's interesting is that we have to realize that we control that. We really do. Because there's things that white folks do just doesn't make any sense. Like, I remember watching The Help, the movie, and I thought to myself, now this is absolutely amazing to me. I can change your child's diaper. I can raise your child. I can feed your child. I can cook for you. I can clean for you, but I can't use the bathroom. It just doesn't even make any sense that, and once you start understanding that doesn't make any sense, then you can really begin the process of just affirmation, because it just doesn't make, there's certain things that it doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, it really begins with how you really view yourself to a large extent. If you believe you're not worthy, then you will project an image which says you're not worthy, and people pick up on these subconscious cues. And we've got to be very, as you said, intentional about understanding that how you feel about yourself oftentimes will impact on how people view you.
And understand that we're not perfect.
Right.
I mean, just like I was teasing, you had to break. I said, how you gonna have my hair looking crazy? Well, you were messing with your hair. I said, I mess with my hair all the time.
Right.
I'm sitting up here doing like that. There I go again.
Right.
And so, but really, just understanding that we are not perfect, and
we're human.
We're human. We're gonna make mistakes, and really not making. And you got other people, your friends, your partner feel bad about that. I think it's part of at least you have to be very conscious, because I know I have followed this, of not hammering the same issue all the time and just moving on from that issue and saying, okay, we're going to leave, that issue is going to be left in the past. Okay, this person disappointed me. That I don't know, whatever service they were providing disappointed me, but I didn't gel with this person, but I'm going to go find, someone else.
Well, that sort of, ties back into your statement that, we have to gamble on ourselves.
Gamble on ourselves. I understand too that they have different resources, so it may take them a week to write a brief, because they got a paralegal, they got 2 paralegals working, they got a research assistant, whereas we have to do it all on our own, so it may take 2 weeks, because we haven't built that structure to be able to have those 2 paralegals or research assistant. But if we bet on each other, that structure will be built.
So the question then is, have we lost that race? Are we hopeless in reaffirming ourselves? Can we actually break systemic problems of racism which have impacted our own internal thought process? Can we break free from the shackles of slavery?
I will always bet on black people. I will always bet on black people. It's how I was raised. I will always bet black. So I will never say, and I also think that because of things that are happening now, it is awakening. It is a moment that has woke some people. I purposely, and you know this, you live with me, have not watched the George Floyd trial.
Right.
I'm not watching the closing arguments. I walk out the room every time I see the tape with the kneeling, because it just doesn't make any sense to me why this man will not be guilty. It just doesn't make any sense.
But we know,
But see, this is
video
I
is
know,
not enough.
I know.
Video is not enough.
And like that Saturday Night Live, that was perfect. Very well done. If you guys haven't watched it, it was a Saturday Night Live skit. I think it was 2 weeks ago, and it was with the reporters, and that was a skit, and there's 2 black reporters and 2 white reporters, and they were talking about the George Floyd. That was absolutely hilarious to me. I mean, so
because it demonstrated the contrast between how black people view a situation and how white folks view a situation. In the situation with George Floyd, the question is, do we see things the same way? Well, clearly, we know from the Rodney King trial that the tape is not enough. Because if there was ever a tape where someone should have been guilty of police brutality, it should have been Rodney King. But when that tape hit, we knew this was an open and shut case, but it isn't, because culturally and sensitivity, people view things so much differently. And I guess the question that we want to leave you with as we conclude our show is that we have to be in mode of self-affirmation. We have to understand the implicit biases within ourselves, how we view ourselves, how we view others. How do we begin to break free from the shackles that free our mind, that allow us to move forward and do the types of positive things we can do for ourselves. And so this requires us to do a number of things. One, we have to recognize and understand that we are not perfect people, that we do make mistakes. That oftentimes, when we make a mistake, the best way of a professional handling that is to admit that the mistake is made, be honest and open about the situation. I know we as practicing attorneys, occasionally we've made mistakes because we're not perfect. And the best way and the best results we've ever gotten, and you could agree, is when we go get right to the client and say, hey, I screwed this up. This is the problem. I'm going to correct it. People are much more open about the honesty that you demonstrate as a professional. But there was a little self-responsibility on our part to recognize that a mistake has been made. We also have to begin to understand that they are not better than us. I repeat, they're not better than us. That we have to understand our own self-worth, our own value. The fact that we've been able to survive in America with this structural racism and inequities and inequalities that exist, whether it's in education, whether it's healthcare, whether it's employment opportunities, whether it's educational opportunities, in spite of all those facts, we've continued to excel and achieve in a society that is stacked against us. Be clear, the deck is stacked against us, but with the understanding and knowledge and support of one another, we can move forward. We can be self-affirming without being, quote, racist in our own thinking, because to believe that I can get the job done or Lynn can get the job done is something that's built into our own spirit, into our own psyche. Is something that we believe. And so at the end of the day, the question is whether or not you treat others like yourself differently is a question that you have to answer. If you believe that we are worthy and we are worthy of self-affirmation and respect and support, we will get that. If we don't believe it, we won't.
We won't
and
get
so any concluding thoughts, Lynn? I think we have 30 seconds to wrap this up. You have any concluding thoughts?
No, I just agree with everything you just said.
Well, thank you very much. For a change.
For a change. No, there was no pushback today.
Okay.
Although you did cut your eyes at me when I when I cut you off. I caught that. He hates when I cut him off. And I said, did he just cut his eyes at me? I'm going to ignore him right now.
All right.
But no, I agree with everything you said.
Great. So, again, I'm Anthony Adams. We Detroit, We Deserve Better show. I've had my co-host, my partner, my friend, my law partner, my boss, attorney Lynn Marie Adams. And so we will be back in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to our show. Thank you very much.
Watch Anthony Adams, We Detroit. We Deserve Better. Live on Mondays from 11 a.m. to noon on WHPR TV 33 Detroit. And live stream on Facebook. We Detroit. We deserve better.